Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland. And on this week's show, we're going to be talking about some coming attractions, the latest film in my series of the Coen brothers' work, which is Intolerable Cruelty, and having some questions for me to answer that are related to some releases this week and some Q&A. So, welcome to the show. And doing things a little bit differently this week, trying to avoid using the webcam and trying this out in front of my large wall of movies here. So hopefully this shakes things up a little bit. But we're going to get started with the show with the coming attraction section, which coming into this week, Friday, April 16th, there's not a whole lot coming out. There are some films like Monday, which I actually got a chance to check out because I had a screener for that film. There's some other smaller films like Jacob's Wife, which is going to be coming out to theaters in VOD. Haven't heard a whole lot about that film. Trigger Point, which is another film that I got a screener for. But this film that I wanted to talk about is from Neon Productions, Neon Films, this new horror film called In the Earth. And this film is focusing on, as the world searches for a cure to a disastrous virus, a scientist and park scout venture deep into the forest for a routine equipment run. So this is deep, dark into the woods, creepy horror film. And this film stars Joel Fry, who's a member of the Game of Thrones cast. We have Reese Shearsmith, Haley Squires, and a few other actors thrown in. Doesn't seem like a very big cast, but the biggest draw, I guess, for this particular film is writer-director Ben Wheatley, who formerly did High Rise with Tom Hiddleston, Free Fire with Armie Hammer and Sharlto Copley and Brie Larson and a whole bunch of people, and most recently did that remake of Rebecca, also with Armie Hammer. Probably not going to be casting Armie Hammer a whole lot into anything moving forward. But specifically talking about this film, I am very lukewarm about Wheatley at this point because honestly by the end of most of his films I just feel really disappointed and frustrated because there's so much going for his films and so many really great things, but by the end they feel so unsatisfying. And I'm at the point where I'm kind of expecting that from his work, but just from the little clips of the trailer that I've seen, this seems like a eerie and, well, visualized horror film, and it's from Neon. Wheatley definitely has a lot of talent, so you know what? That's why I picked this one as my top coming attraction of this week, because there's some potential here. And I think this is only opening in theaters, so I hope I get a chance to see it soon. But I look forward to checking out In the Earth, and hopefully it's something that is something special. That's going to be finally taking Wheatley's potential and really capturing something in a fully realized film. But those are my thoughts for the coming attractions this week. We're going to transition ourselves into our feature of the week, which is the Coen brothers' silly, goofy, screwball comedy with a little bit of a noirish flair, Intolerable Cruelty. And this film focuses on the inner workings of the lives of a divorce lawyer. And as he finds his match in a very cunning and very attractive and very intelligent and clever woman who finds her way from husband to husband to husband, amassing some wealth. And this film apparently was originally was written by two other men, not the Coen brothers, Robert Ramsey and Matthew Stone, who still share screenplay credits with the Coens. And Ron Howard was attached, Jonathan Demme was attached. This originally was going to be starring Julia Roberts and Hugh Grant, which I would see that movie. I think that would have been an interesting pairing. But with the film that we got, I don't know if you could have gotten a better pairing for this sleazy and just self-assured and charming as hell lawyer, Miles Massey, played by George Clooney. And then this cunning, just clever and sexy and just pretty ruthless woman, Marilyn, played by Catherine Zeta-Jones, who is at the point of this film coming out definitely at the peak of her talents, as she had just recently won an Oscar for Chicago. And you have a wonderful supporting cast of Billy Bob Thornton, Jeffrey Rush, Cedric the Entertainer, Edward Herrmann, Paul and Adelstein, Richard Jenkins, and a whole bunch of other wonderful just character actors. And it's a Coen's film, so there's going to be a wide berth of just fun characters throughout. But we have this story as this film is directed and written by the Coen brothers. It definitely has their flair. It definitely has those influences of those 30s, 40s kind of screwball comedies. And you definitely can, if this was made back then, you could see a Cary Grant playing that Miles Massey character real easy. You could hear a Jimmy Stewart or a Katharine Hepburn or a Cary Grant saying a lot of these lines. It just has that kind of feel to it. And then there's definitely influences of noir, especially with a private investigator like Cedric the Entertainer's character, Gus Petch. He's going to nail yo ass. And that's the big recurring joke of the film with Cedric the Entertainer's character. And you definitely have a lot of quirky and crazy characters, and you start this film out. This film is very glossy and artificial, and it's one of those kinds of things where it's normally wouldn't like that, but it's Deakins, and Deakins does it well and purposefully because it captures that artificialness about this whole entire film. And then there's definitely sequences that feel right out of a noir, feel right out of The Man Who Wasn't There from the Coen's previous film, except in color this time, especially when Miles Massey meets his partner, who's just this old creepy lawyer guy in this dark and ominous room, and the dark lighting in his waiting room in the lobby is just perfect. So you have Deakins doing his thing, but you also have Carter Burwell, who really gets to shine in this film because it has that big horns driven kind of mix of noir into a swing kind of score that really captures the energy and the spirit of this film. And there's a lot of score in this one, and it really works to bolster the story. Now, this isn't top tier Coen's, but I would definitely put this up here with Raising Arizona as one of their best, just pure, zany, fun comedies. Because I have so much fun with Intolerable Cruelty. I'm sure more people are more inclined to say this is low tier Coen's. I still think this is a really impressive film that gets me laughing from start to finish. The comedy in this film is next level. You start this film with Jeffrey Rush with his ponytail, and he's a smug kind of TV guy, and he shows up home to find a pool cleaning van, which they don't have a pool, and he comes in and obviously finds his wife having an affair. Things escalate. A gun gets taken out. She stabs him with his pointy, "That's my TV Achievement Award," and just stabs him in the butt with it. And he's shooting his gun. He's taking pictures. And you're like, she's done. There's obviously he pulled a gun, which is crazy. But she's obviously cheating on him. And then we cut into this one of my favorite opening credits of all time with Suspicious Minds by Elvis. Just perfectly used here because it really captures the spirit of this film, and the animation of the opening sequences with all these obnoxious over-the-top romantic imagery is just so perfect because this film, for the most part, there's a deep-seated strange romance going on between this divorce lawyer and this like huntress of men's fortunes, because they're so perfect for each other. They love the game, they love the back and forth, and it just works so well for them. But you start things off because this wife of Jeffrey Rush shows up at Miles Massey's office, and you get George Clooney, who's like wheeling and dealing and getting all of these people to buy in to his craziness. And the level of just back and forth banter and quickness in this script is so great. It's some of the Coens' snappiest dialogue they've had in a script. It just works so well. And the actors, George Clooney was born to be in Coen Brothers films. And they're his favorite moments of mine. In the Coens films, you also have, like, Up in the Air, which is actually really similar to this film. There's a lot of beats that show up in Up in the Air as well, in a slightly different job. He's not a divorce lawyer, but he's a man who fires people. He has a seedy kind of job. He's a seedy kind of human, and he has to find his connection. He's a little bit more redemptive, I think, in Up in the Air. This film, he's just slimy and perfect. And what he wants fits so perfectly into who Catherine Zeta-Jones' character is. And you see Miles Massey coming up with these wild ideas and wild claims about Jeffrey Rush. And later in the film, you find out Jeffrey Rush obviously lost that case because he's living in an alley. And he's like, I'm in a business meeting, as he's like woken up as a homeless bum. But he gets his moment again at the end, producing a wonderful show where Cedric the Entertainer gets to nail your ass. And they have their own show and everybody's happy in the end. But we'll get there. But you have, from this point then, we get this very noirish kind of scene where you have the dad from Gilmore Girls who is caught having an affair. And Edward Herrmann in this film is great. He is a slimy kind of rich dude who has his fetish for trains. And just when he's in that hotel room and they're just like, chew, 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 and he's just like getting off on it, and so's the woman that he's having an affair with. And Cedric Entertainer shows up and finds this evidence, and you have Catherine Zeta-Jones' character and her lawyer, Richard Jenkins, who Freddie Bender is like nowhere close to the lawyer that Miles Massey is, but he's just trying. And Richard Jenkins is great in this film, and some of my favorite lines in any Coen Brothers film are in Intolerable Cruelty, and one of them's like, "My God, Marilyn, you're exposed!" And when she rips up a prenup, the power of the prenup is such a big thing in Intolerable Cruelty. But the acting and like the expressions on George Clooney's face throughout this film is just next level expressive. And Catherine Zeta-Jones is very rarely sexier in this film, and you can tell why she traps all these people. And we have getting to trial, and one of the best moments in this whole entire film, because you find out that Miles Massey, who through whining and dining Maryland, has this connection, and they try to find her, Tenzing Norgay. Nothing is achieved without help. And somebody has to help her find these men. And we have Baron the Kraut von Espy, who's brought in, and how they set him up in this scene is so perfect, because you have the bailiff who's like, and he's a little character actor, and he sounds like this, we're going to call to the stand Baron the Kraut von Espy, and swing of the camera to the next person, swing of the camera, and then you have this long, deep, focused shot, and you have the Baron walk in with his little dog and everything, and he explains that Marilyn came to him asking for a silly man. And when George Clooney just is like, and tell me, can you point out that silly man? And it's just so over the top, the acting in this film, but it's so absurdist and so much fun. And that is a silly man. And Rex Rexroth, the names in this movie are so absurd. And Edward Herrmann just like gets up and like charges the stand. Probably should have been a mistrial, but let's forget about that. But, you know, Marilyn got beat. And she comes up with this whole entire crazy plan to trap Miles Massey. And along the way, we get to meet her next husband, who's a quick-talking, motor-mouth, oil tycoon, played by Billy Bob Thornton, who doesn't know when to shut up and just keeps going on with his stories and his metaphors and all kinds of stuff like that, and just keeps going and keep going, and, you know, he eats her prenup with some barbecue sauce at the wedding. And he is such a great addition to this cast, and Billy Bob Thornton is such an underappreciated actor. And you have these moments like when George Clooney realizes that he's in love and has to step away and makes this big speech at Nomad, which is like the divorce lawyers convention in Vegas. And him and Marilyn have this wonderful night, but she bamboozled him because Billy Bob Thornton was an actor. And now they're married and he has the more money and there's no prenup here. So she's going to take him for all he can. So what's Miles Massey going to do? Have her killed. In comes Wheezy Joe. And such a great Coen Brothers character, and you know, things get crazy. We build up to this tense encounter between Wheezy Joe and Miles and his partner, who's just so overly emotional and such a fun, crazy character in this film. And we have, all the way leading up to this wonderful moment at the end of the film, where we get that beautiful connection and all these wonderful banters between Marilyn and Miles and how they're just going to be perfect together. And of course, you have Freddie, who tries to run off with the prenup, and Richard Jenkins just perfect in this scene. This film is not the deepest of films. It's not the most complex of films, but it has quite a bit of mystery about it. It has some fun twists. It's a really funny film. This, as a comedy, is one of the funniest films. I laugh so much watching Intolerable Cruelty. And it has such a fun group of characters, such committed performances, and the Coens just having fun. And if you haven't seen Intolerable Cruelty, go check this out and treat yourself. But next week, we'll be talking about Lady Killers, which is the most interesting of Coen Brothers films, and probably the closest thing that they have to a bad film. And it's so interesting because I still love all the Coen Brothers films, but I definitely have some feelings about Lady Killers. But we'll get to that next week. And in terms of our questions for this week, we have favorite space movie. So both of these questions that I have this week are in honor of Voyagers coming out, starring Colin Farrell, which you could go check out my article from Sif Pop. It should be up soon. Well, hopefully by the time that this episode drops, it will be up on sifpop.com. And also go see my video review, which is already up. But that's out in theaters. But my favorite space film is 100% Interstellar. And Interstellar is my favorite Nolan film. Nolan's one of my favorite directors. And I love how it is so ambitious in the way that it portrays these ideas of space and black holes and wormholes and different kinds of things like that. And it's so incredible to look at that you can't help but realize that this film is special. And I love every second of it, even when it's a little too expositional heavy. Maybe it's a little too, like, trying to lean into everything's about love. but it's such a crazy and inventive and imaginative look at what real space might look like. And I love Interstellar, so if I have to pick my favorite space film, it's definitely that. And the other question is, favorite Colin Farrell film? And I'm going to have to go with In Bruges. What a funny film. Martin McDonagh is such a fantastic, like, he has Cohen's written all over him with, like, that, but European sensibility. And In Bruges is so great. And Colin Farrell is so great. Him, Brendan Gleeson, and Ray Fiennes. You're an inanimate effing object. Oh, man. And then Brendan Gleeson just running off the C word like 6 times in one sentence. But Colin Farrell, it's just like, you're going to try to go up there? You bunch of herd of elephants. And it's like, maybe I'd appreciate Bruges if I grew up on a farm. And I won't say the rest of it, because it's a little insensitive. But in terms of just the humor is there, and it's great. But there's definitely layers and a darkness to that film and to his character that's so interesting, and I love every second of it. In Bruges is hilarious and poignant and dark and exhilarating, and certainly has plenty of twists and turns in the story. Some of the ones that are up there definitely... Honestly, I loved The Gentleman from last year, and him in his role as coach, it's like, come on, make it sharp, cook me with it. Where he just wants those kids to like talk some smack and they're awful at it. And he's one of the most reliable and honest guys in that whole entire movie. Between him and Fletcher with Hugh Grant, so great. And like Matthew McConaughey and Charlie Hunnam and just everybody in that film is working on a whole different level. You have The Lobster as well is really high up there. Also, one that is devastating to me is Saving Mr. Banks, and him as Trevor's dad is so heartbreaking. And Colin Farrell is a really talented actor, and I want to see him keep popping up in things. Over the past year or so, a lot of his roles have been kind of wasted. Artemis Fowl, and you had, honestly, Voyagers. It's like, spoiler alert, not really in it that much. And I think you probably could have guessed that. You know, the movie's really supposed to be about the teenagers. But I love Colin Farrell, so I wish I would have gotten more of him. And especially his films where he gets to do his native accent, I feel like he's much more comfortable and really gets to be himself. But I'm a huge fan of Colin Farrell. And we just did our Sif Pop top Colin Farrell films, and you should read it. My blurb for The Killing of the Sacred Deer, movie not to see with your mom. I warn you. But those are my questions for this week. We got to talk about our coming attractions, the feature film of the week, Intolerable Cruelty, and even throw in some questions there at the end. But this is another episode of Welcome to the Wasteland wrapping up, and I hope that you tune in next week when we talk about Lady Killers, which I intend on having my friend Kristen, aka Miss Film Mingo, join, as she has never seen it and she's going to watch it, and we're going to talk and have some fun about it. And I look forward to that show, and then hopefully Matt will be joining for No Country for Old Men to follow, and then we have Burn After Reading and A Serious Man and True Grit on the horizon, and you know, the rest of them. We're getting up there. We're almost there. We're almost through our Coens, and most likely we'll be getting into Christopher Nolan afterwards. But thank you as always for tuning in to all my reviews, to my podcast, Development Help podcast, my interview show, Lost in the Wasteland, and of course this, my weekly show, Welcome to the Wasteland. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.